Welcome to another episode of the Waffle Shop podcast. Today I'm joined by a little bit of a legend. It's singer-songwriter Harley Moon Kemp. Welcome to the Waffle Shop.
Thank you for having me on the Waffle Shop.
It's good. Someone might say that I'm Lucky to have you on the show.
If you feel it, you are it, baby.
Sorry, I had to do it. Like I've been literally all day. I've been saving that.
I
And
love
for anyone,
that. You know what was annoying is when I always feel like I'm just channeling an idea. I never really mean to write anything. I never sit down to write. I just start singing it. When I
yeah.
started singing, L-U-C-K-O, oh my God, this is so annoying, but I have to write it. And I was like, I'm hoping that I'm going to pass on this annoying chant to other people and that they'll be annoyed by it enough that they'll start singing it too. Obviously, it's going to feel good, but it just kind of like gets in your system, that melody.
To be fair though, it worked. It didn't. It hasn't annoyed me, but it worked because all day it's been stuck in my head. So if anything,
It'll get you.
job well done.
Have
Which,
you
to be
been
fair,
to the Waffle Shop in St Albans?
no. But I feel like, am I going to have beef now with
No,
shopping up?
there's an amazing waffle restaurant. I don't know if it's still there, but I went to a waffle restaurant shop in St Albans, and I wonder if you could team up with them to do a waffle podcast shop.
I mean, I'm all for it. I mean, there was the amount of people that was so disappointed that I wasn't actually opening a shop. It was, yeah, I've got a lot of just disappointed family. But to be fair, with Lucky, which is obviously another one, it's one of your many bangers that you have out. It leads me on to my weekly waffle, which is something obviously that gets on my nerves. That once I speak about it, it makes me feel better. But the song, it got me thinking, and it's not so much that has annoyed me, but it's stuck with my head all day. Is the fact that I can only spell beautiful because of Bruce Almighty. And he says B-E-A, beautiful, in the film. And that's the only reason I know how to spell.
I have a really similar one. So I wasn't very good at school, but I was really good at rhythm or melody.
Yeah.
And so I used to learn spelling through a beat. And I can still only spell because in a certain way, and I would say B-E-C-A-U-S-E. It's B-E-C-A-U-S-E, and I know how to spell
because of that.
Or people have that I before E, except after C kind of thing about them. For me, because was always a scramble. But once I got the B-E-C-A-U-S-E, I nailed that.
Stop doing this to me because this is going to be stuck in my head now. Again.
And just by chance, I'm releasing a song called B-E-C-A-U-S-E. No, not really.
Can you imagine? Just going to go through the alphabet.
It was actually a whole album of songs I couldn't spell at school, of words I couldn't spell at school.
It does great with the younger kids. Literally, you get teachers with awards left, right, and centre.
Exactly.
Oh, that's amazing, though. That's brilliant. And to be fair, I think it happens in Matilda, doesn't it? With Mrs. M, Mrs. I, Mrs. S.
Yeah,
Mississippi.
I can't remember how many Mrs. there are, but yeah.
To be fair, that's why I stopped at MIS, because I thought I'm not going to do it because I still can't spell it, even with the song. Oh, is there anything that you'd like to get off your chest? Is there anything that gets on your nerves?
My nerves always comes down to the same subjects, the ones that write about, the ones that sing about. Dating.
Oh, okay, here we go. Come on, let's go.
Here we go. Dating. In particular, online dating.
Yes. Yep.
The process is so confusing to me. So you'll get to a point where you'll exchange numbers, or people text you, or they kind of don't reply for 3 days. Am I also not meant to reply for 3 days? That winds me up a lot. It's kind of like, yeah, cool, I'll let you know when I'm free. And then I'm thinking, oh, good, should I play it cool? Should I say, hold on a sec, I'll let you know when I'm free.
I'm free, yeah.
Like, I'm just not texting them or do you just leave it and move on? It's
I
very confusing,
can't
and
do
that
it.
for me is a grind.
But it's also because it plays into like a confidence thing as well, doesn't it? Because then it's like, have I done something wrong here?
Yes.
Should I have said something else? And it's just horrible. It's just disgusting, to be honest.
Taking online dating to the waffle shop, and I can waffle about it all day because
Do you know what? I feel like
there's
there's a
no
lot of
rules.
people feel the same.
Yeah, there's no rules, there's no guidelines. What are you meant to say if you've had a long day and you're not in the mood to do the small talk, do exchange numbers, when's appropriate time to text?
It's time consuming as well. The time and effort.
Confusing in the online world.
No, I'm with you on that one.
I'm more linked off than LinkedIn, I'll tell you that.
I mean, you're great with words, aren't you? Words and letters. you do. Oh my God, you got me a brand deal. You've got Stalin. God, you can come back. Well, do you feel a bit better now? You've got it off your chest.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I could write albums full of the stuff. So, but I do feel a little more relieved.
Yeah, I mean,
It'd be
that's
good
what
if
it's
we could
about.
have a dial-in telephone number where people give advice.
I'm just going to start writing this down because I'll get a notepad.
Because we can rant and waffle about the things that bug us every week, but how do we find the answers?
That is true. So, yes. I feel like
Maybe
you've just given me
we can
like.
tweet in at,
I feel like we're
Harley
going to have to go
Moons
50-50
sitting
with
in the
this.
waffle shop. Yeah.
We'll actually get a waffle shop and then we'll just get people to.
They can tweet in at Waffle Moons.
Okay, now you're just stealing my show. Oh, I love this already. Okay, well, let's get down to it. Let's obviously the singer-songwriter, like the music, especially the stuff like today, I feel like you've soundtracked like my day. Like it just feels very cinematic, like country vibes. Like I find it very interesting when I have a musical guest on to how that musical journey started. Whereas obviously you come from a very talented family, but I want to know from like your point of view, like, because I've had people on here who said like they watched like a certain performer, they heard a song, like they fell in love with an instrument, and that's what kick-started it for them. Like, how did it start with you?
Oh, I don't feel like a musical person,
Oh,
actually.
wow.
Music for me comes very secondary to kind of thoughts and melody.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time, if I'm driving or cooking or doing something where I'm in like another element and I'm not
Yeah.
trying to sit, when I get booked to go in sessions, I always feel like, oh God, I have to come up with something good and this is on me. But when I'm relaxed and I'm feeling something and I'm driving or I'm cooking, I just know what the song is.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, for like you said, like the Lucky song, we were in lockdown and I was trying my best not to be depressed.
Yeah.
And so I was just kept thinking, like saying to myself at the time, like, I'm lucky I'm with my family. I've got a nice family. I'm lucky that I've got my friends. I'm lucky
Yeah.
that I'm in my home. I'm lucky that I kept saying all this stuff. And then all of a sudden I just started singing it. And then by the time I realized I'd finished singing it, I just had written the song. And then I
Yeah.
write out the chords afterwards and I understand what it is. And the same with this new song I have called Coming Up. I was driving the car and I've been watching a lot of, I mean, it's hard to avoid the news when everything feels kind of dark and people are in a crisis living climate and there's wars going on and lots of conversations are feeling quite negative and heavy and just feeling like I need a day where I'm not absorbed by that, and I need
There's
a
just no
day where
escape, is there, when it
I
comes
need
to
some
that?
escape. I need to feel good today for myself. I need to try and have a day where I like break through and have some joy and not feel weighed down by everything. And I just went out walking the dog, And then I got in the car, and the whole way through I was singing, I'm coming up, I'm coming. I don't know why I was singing it. And then that weekend I went into a session, and they were like, what do you want to write? And I was like, I already have this idea called Coming Up. And it's just about, you know, needing to elevate yourself, even whatever it is, whether you're falling in love, whether you're going to a protest, whether you're doing something that feels good inside you for whatever you need that day, like finding your like power. And I was like, I think it's that. It's like, because that's what I couldn't stop singing when I was feeling like it. And then we wrote it in about half an hour because I already knew the song.
Amazing.
You know?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it happens like that for me, really. I already feel like I know the song when I know what I'm feeling.
That's so, it's not unusual because obviously it works. But it's that, because I thought it's why I have these kind of conversations, because I had Sean Paul on and he was saying that quite a lot of his melodies and stuff comes from when he swims.
Yeah.
And I find it so fascinating how the whole process, like, or how an idea then, when just doing like kind of like mundane tasks, end up turning into these like incredible pieces of work.
I think it's something to do with left and right brain.
Yeah.
I think it's like when you're doing something that you're like physical with your body, whether you're cooking, whether you're driving, whether I'm on an airplane. I wrote my first song Space on an airplane because I was traveling. There's something that frees up a section of your brain because there's no pressure. You're just traveling through, your body's busy, and your real thoughts are just flying out of you. And I feel like that is my natural go-to in that kind of, I don't know, it's a weird thing to explain, but you know why people enjoy going to the gym, or they enjoy being on the running machine, and time flies for some people, it doesn't for me. But like, you know, some people love working out because their brain, they don't know where their brain goes for 20 minutes. And that's what I feel like about music. I'm doing something and then my brain's found a song and then I just can bring it back.
But that is such a talent to have though, because especially to like, do you ever like voice note like ideas, or does it just stay there? Oh, you do? It's just all
absolutely non-stop. I will never remember it. No, but the songs I do record, like Lucky and this new song Coming Up, I never voice noted it. I could not stop singing it to the point where it was bugging me, like I said earlier. Like, it was annoying me. I was thinking, why do I know this song? And I said, oh, I don't know this song. I have to write this song.
It's my song. It doesn't exist yet.
Although I have had one night in Nashville, I was over there and I was so inspired because I'd gone out and I'd been to all the bars and I'd seen all the gigs and I'd had the best night. I heard the best songs and I had a few drinks in as well. I went to bed and I must have dreamt a song. And I woke up.
This is like just ridiculously talented now.
No, but wait, it goes downhill. So I woke up 2 or 3 a.m. and I was like, that's it. I've cracked it. I've written like the best song ever. I'm going to voice note it. And I'll wake up and listen to it in the morning. And then I wake up in the morning thinking, oh my God, I've written a hit last night in my sleep.
Yeah.
And I listen to the voice note and it's just and I was like, oh, that's the alcohol and tiredness kicking in. No idea what the song was.
The jet lag. The jet lag.
And that's that. It's just jet lag.
That's what that is. Yeah, don't worry about that. It must have been the headphones or the
Something went wrong there.
Yeah.
I've had a few of those.
With that then, so I imagine, because obviously quite a lot of the music that you have out is very country inspired. Is that like, that must be like a bit of a love for you then?
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I was always writing songs for other people, to be honest. I like being behind the scenes. I like writing. I like making. I like being silly. I like playing. I like writing ideas. And then it wasn't really until after I did a few trips to Nashville that I thought, this kind of feels like the type of stuff I write when I'm alone.
Yeah.
And when I was writing for other people, I was really calculating it and thinking like what's catchy, what's not. And when I was just alone in my room on the guitar, I would write movies. That's what I always
Yeah.
felt like I was trying to write. So when I was writing something, I would like to watch the film of what it was.
Do you know what?
And
Quickly, that's exactly what I got from your music. So that's what I said. It felt like it was like soundtracking. It was very cinematic. So it's weird hearing you say that now. Like that's exactly the vibe that I got.
oh, I'm glad.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, like in my head, I feel like I'm watching a film. I like to watch the film of it. And then I kind of understand what's happening in the film, and then I can finish the song. But then the closest connect I had to that was country music, because they can describe every feature on a face, every smell in the room, every texture of the jacket, every lean-in kiss, and then there's a twist, and it was somebody else, and you're so drawn into this story. My mouth is open as I'm listening to country music. So I just can't get enough of where is this going? Where is this going? I just connected with it so much that when I started doing my own music, everyone was like, oh, you've gone country. But I didn't know I'd gone country.
Yeah, it's just natural.
Writing what I felt like, you know. So I love country music. And obviously I've kind of fallen into like a country kind of sound now. Although my new songs are a little bit less country, but still always influenced by that sound.
Love that. So with that, obviously you mentioned that you kind of like you've written for other people, and what inspired you then to start, like, was it like writing these songs thinking like I can't kind of let this one go, or like what was that like now you're stepping out?
Not at all. It was literally just because it was lockdown and I had nothing to lose. I was always so shy about doing my own songs.
Yeah.
I also feel like if you grow up in a family where everyone's very like musically talented and known for being famous within music, it's really tough to then say, well, I want to be taken seriously. No one really wants to like you. It's the thing. And so for years I thought, oh, I don't want to try because I think there'll always be this like, are they better? Are they worse than? And I was really shy about it, especially when you're younger and you're a bit more insecure.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really until lockdown where I'd kind of written a few songs for other people and I was feeling good. And I put one song that I'd written called Space on Instagram. And it was the first time I'd ever played my own song on Instagram. And I got loads of response saying, where can I download this? Where can I download this? It was really down to Instagram that I was like, okay, maybe there's a bit of confidence for me here to try and put this out. And then I thought, all right, it's lockdown. What else am I going to do?
Yeah.
I'll give it a go. And then that song ended up going to #1 on the UK country iTunes.
There you go.
I just cried my eyes out because I never in a million years thought anyone would hear it other than my mum and my dad.
That's incredible. Has there been a moment yet where you've kind of looked back and thought, I did that?
All the time. I still am expecting nothing. I just am making up weird ideas while I'm driving the car or cooking food.
I feel like there's like just loads of dishes on the side, just not eaten because you're like, no, gotta get it out. Yeah.
And then you end up going on the guitar. Yeah. That's exactly what it's like, actually.
I wish I had the same excuse. My house is this is very strategically placed. The corner, the amount of ironing that's over there.
That's good.
Oh, so obviously we talk a lot about like the impact music can have like on your mental health on the show. Like it's my biggest coping mechanisms when it comes to me feeling like when things get a little bit heavy, like there's a song or a like that kind of brings me out of the mood or it allows me to feel that kind of moment. But before we kind of dive into those songs for you, like, is there anything else that you kind of like you lean towards, like when things do get a little bit much?
Yeah. So I have to be straight up with you before we start. I'm a very, very positive person.
You can tell.
I try every single day to remember that we are just tiny little specks of dust floating in the universe You just got to have fun. I think about that all the time. I really, really
Love
do.
that.
And I know that like when things get hard and when things get tough, and everybody in the world is going to have a really bad time at some point, is going to feel low. Even me, even anyone, whatever your position is on this earth. But I just always have to bring myself back to, you only get one chance at this experience. And even though it's really hard to try and tell yourself that when you're feeling low, I really have trained myself a lot to do it. And I used to suffer really bad with anxiety a few years ago, and started realizing that, and I actually ended up with stomach ulcers because I was so anxious, because but I knew it was because where I felt the anxiety,
tense,
stomach, I'm so tense. I started listening to lots of podcasts. I started to look into why I was anxious, or what I was actually anxious about. And if you can't control it, then you have to let go of it. If you can control it, you can do something about it. So just do something about it.
Yes.
I just simplified everything I could do, and brought myself back to, like, you only get one chance to experience this life. So you just really have to keep, like, zooming out of your room, zooming out of your city, zooming out of your planet, zooming out into the universe, and then realizing, okay, you can just let it go, because there's no point holding on to stuff that's going to make you feel heavy.
No, I love that. Someone said once, I mean, first of all, obviously, thank you for sharing that. And your kind of your outlook is so infectious. Like that, like, you couldn't have articulated that better. Like, it was incredible. But there's someone came on the show once, and they mentioned about things when it gets a bit heavy, like they're kind of like a hot coal. Like, the longer you hold on to that, the more it's going to burn. So it's just like you've got to let it go.
I've never fallen out with anyone. I don't want to argue with anyone. I've never been interested, because there's no point holding on to something that's ever going to make you feel bad. If it's a relationship, get rid of it. If it's a friend that's upsetting you, just let it go. You just got to keep moving on, because, like I said, our problems are so small. We're so tiny on this planet. I don't know where we are. I don't know whatever religion or sci-fi you believe in. We all know that we're just a tiny little organism working our way through the planet. And I felt like that in this, even in the song when I was writing Coming Up. I was like, oh God, things are so heavy, and I just really need to find a place where I just feel good, and I want to lift people up, and I want to feel excited about something. And it's the same kind of feeling. I guess music also is a really cheap therapy for me, because if ever I feel weighed down by something, I can just get on a Zoom with a songwriter, or get on my guitar and get it out my system. You kind of open that little Pandora's box of shit you don't want to say to other people. All of a sudden in a song, it's acceptable.
It's beautiful though. And it goes to number one on the country chart, so it's clearly working.
I think writing stuff down is really therapeutic.
Oh, I journal literally most nights before bed, just to get it out of my head. And once I've visualized it, I can kind of like, I can let it go. Yeah.
I mean, my brother talks about mental health a lot, and he really believes in going to therapy and talking, and like being as, like, pushing your friends to get them to talk to you if they feel like they're feeling low. But I think the lucky gift that songwriters have is whatever you're feeling is going to come out of you at some point, like whether it's a song or lyrics or writing or poem, and getting it out makes you feel really detached from the problem. And it's kind of a positive spin on it in the end, especially if you've been like dumped or cheated on, like I have. You can write a song about it when you were upset, and then you're like, oh hey bitch, sing it.
Is it weird in those moments now though, when like you kind of those kind of experiences that you've turned into songs, to have people then like sing them back to you? How would you navigate that?
There's a song I wrote called She Looks Like Me.
Yes.
And it's about running into an ex in a coffee shop outside my house. And
Is this like true stories? This is like...
It's a completely true story. And at the time, I went home and I was shaking in my whole bones and my body. And I was trying to ring my best friend and I was like, I don't know what I'm upset about, but I feel sick. Like I just feel so sick. And just held on to that feeling. And then the next week, and it's so natural, it happens to everyone. If you run into your ex, you've not met someone else, but they have. There was someone new and you run into them both and you're like, okay, I've got to handle this, I've got to handle this. And I next week went to Nashville and they said, what do you want to write? And I said, about this moment. I was like, it was like slow motion for me. And I felt so sick that when I got home, and it was that same thing. It was within half an hour we'd written the song, because I already knew what the song was. Like,
you've already written it on the plane on the way.
Exactly. And now and at the time it made me feel so bad, but then that song took me to play it on TV. I played it at the Isle of Wight Festival. I played it in
incredible
shows, and people have come up and cried and said, oh my God, that's happened to me in that story. And now I thrive that I ran into them in the concert.
That's amazing. I mean, it wasn't at the time, obviously, but now.
Yeah, so it's a weird thing to be able to move on from something and let go of it.
I think it's quite freeing, isn't it, as well? Like, it feels like a weight has been lifted, either once you've had the conversation, or I imagine like written that song, or even the melody, I guess. Like, it must feel like, oh, okay. And especially, one of the things I find so incredible with music is that, especially when like you listen to those kind of songs that have kind of been about someone's like heartache, or, you know, a sad time, or, you know, in remembrance of someone, it kind of makes me feel like I'm not alone when I listen to those songs, which is it honestly, every time, like the amount of goosebumps I get on a daily basis when I have my headphones on is ridiculous.
I went to see Adele play at
Hyde Park
in the summer.
I was there. Yes,
it was so good.
Yeah,
when she started singing, like, I love Adele, but I wouldn't say I'm a die-hard Adele fan. I know all the songs and I know all the words, but it was actually a friend of mine that had booked it for me and said, do you come along? And I said, of course. So I went to that show, and as soon as she started singing, the goosebumps that ran up my body, the tears that fell from my eyes, from the whole crowd. It was the energy that her pain and her rawness and her realness and whatever she felt in that time, everyone in this part felt it. I was so overwhelmed. I didn't know why I was crying, and I was kind of laughing, thinking this is so weird, and I had goosebumps, and like, music's a powerful thing.
No, I couldn't agree with more. I was talking to my friend who I went with, like, about that recently. We were like, because we were both just stood there, like the sun was setting. It was like this beautiful moment, like in summer, and everyone's just stood around crying. It was great.
It was so weird. Yeah, it was euphoric. But there's two things where I feel like just define, like, kind of defy human interaction. It's like, one is music and one is football for some reason. I feel like where whoever you are, whatever hierarchy in life or whatever you feel or think you are in the world, if you're listening to a great song, you're in a crowd full of people, you are all equal. You are dancing. It's a human instinct. You're tapping your feet, you're shaking your shoulders, you're clapping your hands. There's something animalistic that happens to humans when they listen to music, and for some reason it happens in football too. I'm not a huge football fan.
No, I get what you mean.
Stadiums all over the world, people are losing their minds when they're watching football games and feeling the same way in a huge crowd of people. And I think I know many other things that transcends like cities, countries, races,
Everything,
sexes,
isn't it? Yeah.
whatever. It's like it brings everyone, no matter what your status is in life, just brings you together. It's a strange idea.
I feel like I'd quite like to go for a beer with you. I feel like we'd have, like, I feel like these kind of conversations I genuinely could sit and have like all night. I love
Me
it.
too.
So I don't want to I feel like it's coming to an end and I don't want it to.
Like, go on then.
But tell me more about like coming up.
Oh
Like
yeah.
tell me, like, obviously brand new single. What's obviously we kind of know this kind of story like behind it. But, like, are you excited to get it out there? Like, what's the plan?
I am so excited. My friends are so sick of singing the song because they heard the demo and all the other versions of it 10 times. And they've got so many voice notes from my thing going, coming up, I'm coming up, coming. And they're like, oh, this is so catchy. It's still in my head. And that was the same feeling I felt with the Lucky song.
That was like 10 weeks ago now, Harley. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
Still
I'm
stuck.
like, hey guys, I've got a new version of Coming Up. Can you have a listen? And they're like, we've still got it in our heads, but it just makes me feel really happy. It makes me feel like I want to grind my teeth and punch the air and dance and fight someone or something. I don't know. That's the feeling it makes me feel. And I think, like I said, kind of being in so many conversations that are always like stressed or dark, or sometimes you just can't hold yourself down with so much negativity. It's still there, and but it's just like when you need time to roller skate down the street without anyone listening to you, and you can just do whatever you want. I don't know, it's kind of that type of song for me. It's really good fun, and I've got lots more songs lined up to release now, which I haven't had for a while, which I'm really excited about too.
Well, this is going to be my next question, because obviously the singles are coming out. So
yeah,
is it building to something? Obviously, it's going to be summer soon. Like, is there going to be shows, album maybe?
there's going to be shows. You know what? I don't think I'm such a commitment phobe. I don't think it's ever going to be a straight up album.
Okay.
I could be wrong. I could surprise myself.
You just said, yeah, I could be wrong, rolling up your sleeves as if you haven't got an album. Like...
I could be wrong. I could surprise myself. But I like being a very free person, and I like being spontaneous. I don't walk the same way when I take the dog for a walk every day, because I like feeling refreshed every day that I wake up. So the idea of committing to a certain amount of songs at a certain date really puts me off, to be honest.
Yeah.
So and like I said, you kind of heard from my style of writing that I like, it just comes when it comes. I don't know when it's coming. It just happens. So for me, I can feel like I'll only ever put out 1 or 2 tracks at a time. And that's just how I'm going to roll with it. But I have got a show. I've got a show in April in Liverpool. I think it's Easter weekend on the 9th. And I love doing shows. It's quite a bitchy little session about everyone I've written the songs about, to be honest.
Have there anyone ever heard any of them and like said anything?
Oh yeah, so I've got this one song which I haven't actually released yet, but it's a big hit when I play it live. So it's coming soon. And it was about someone that I was dating, and I thought we were dating, but every date got later and later. So the first weekend, the date was at 6 o'clock. The next weekend, the date was at 8 o'clock. The next weekend, it's like, hey, babe, want a drink? I'll be free at 10. And I'm like,
you're a vampire? What is this? I go to bed at 9.
Exactly, me too. So I'm like, by the following weekend, I get the text that many of us either received or sent. I don't know which end of the stick you are, but there's a text that says, hey, babe, you up?
Yeah.
You up text. And I got you up texted. And I was like, oh my God, I have really thought I was going on the dates with this person. And then I get the you up text, and everyone knows what you up texting. So at one point I said, I was like, no, I'm at home. And they said, well, look, I'm just passing by. Should I come in? And I texted back saying, hell no, this isn't a drive-through.
Yeah.
So the next morning, I write a song called This Ain't a Drive-Through Fast Food Pickup Line. And then I like play the song at the show. It's good fun. But it kind of becomes, the whole show just becomes a who's who of who has been on the dating roster, really. Maybe that's
Do you
why
remember
now,
now I'm like, I need at the same time, I feel like you need to go on more dates now to get more songs.
I know. And then I've been blacklisted on Hinge and Riot, right? This girl will write songs about you.
You're brilliant. Absolutely, my face is aching from like smiling. Oh, wow. Okay, so what about actually, speaking of shows, like I wanted to ask you, like, how was it when you stepped out on the stage at Isle of Wight? That must have been a magical feeling.
That was my first ever show.
Oh, well, just do you ever do things just like in a real subtle way?
Not once, ever.
No, love that.
I like life to feel like a terrifying roller coaster of ideas.
Well, I think it's a good start, I guess.
It's probably still why I'm going on the bad dates, I guess.
No.
Yeah, that was my first ever show. I mean, I'd put my songs out in lockdown. I had experience of being in a studio and singing and writing and having songs released by other people, but I had no experience of going on a stage and a crowd full of people because it had been in lockdown. Everything I'd done was on Zoom.
Yeah.
There were Zoom Christmas shows or Zoom something. And that was easy because I was still in my same flat that I rented it in. So, and then got invited to do Isle of Wight Festival. And I was so nervous, but I had such a sexy little outfit on. I had this like bodice with loads of tassels hanging from my arms. So at least when I danced, I looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, I felt sassy when I was wearing it, but I was so nervous. And then after that, I just kind of realized what people enjoy just as much are the like gossip trash stories between songs.
I feel like you're a comedian, you're a singer-songwriter. I just feel like there's like nothing you can't do.
There's lots of stuff I can't do, but let's angle on the ones I can.
Yeah, we won't focus on them. So to round off my shows, I always ask my guests 3 questions. And I'm quite intrigued especially when I have a musical guest on. But the first question is, like, I can't imagine it takes a lot, but what song needs to be playing to get Harley on the dance floor?
Oh, this is going to be like a curveball answer.
Okay, I like this.
It would, I mean, I can dance to anything, but if it was something that would make my ear be like, yeah, I need to go. Take me, Daddy. It would be like something, a garage tune.
Okay. Yes.
It would be like,
when
you're in your under 18s years and you like have to fake ID it into the club. And
no, we don't do things like that.
Yeah, you go in and there's like the floors were still sticky. You used to be able to smoke inside.
There's that smell.
Yeah, and then you'd have like those songs that really built your like teenager years, and you pretended you'd snog loads of people even though you'd not got with anyone, and told your friends, oh yeah, I made out with like 5 people and didn't really get with anyone because I've still got braces and a mini skirt and it just hadn't worked out for me. Like
we had very similar childhoods.
Yeah, everyone was doing it. Like in-betweeners years, where you're like still at school, but garage music was kind of popular then. And if I hear a tune from that time,
take you straight back.
You better make some room on the dance floor.
The first thing that popped into my head then was 21 Seconds.
tune. Exactly. Exactly. Anything that kind of brings that back, I've gone
God.
blind and I've lost myself.
Romeo done.
Exactly.
So on the flip side of that, is
Yeah.
there songs or even an album that you like to have a big old cry to?
Cry to maybe not so much, but feelings where something where I feel all the feelings to
Yeah.
is mostly in the country music. I mean, like, I
Yeah.
love Chris Stapleton. His album, I
Tennessee
remember
Whiskey.
listening to. It's so good. It's so good. I remember listening
Yeah.
to that song one time in Nashville when it very first came out, and going home and saying to my dad, go into your like living room, because he had the Sonos in there.
Yeah.
And I was like, go in there and go play you a song. And we just both sat in silence on the sofa.
Wow.
And he had the screw face, I had the screw face, like, oh, this is coming so good. And I was like, there's a whole album of music like this from Chris Stapleton. And I was like, oh yeah, like we're both feeling it, like those slow motion Haribo adverts where the face
Yes.
goes, whoa, like it was that. Like I love music like that. I love 70s soul music or country music that really like has crunchy voices and soulfulness. I love all of that.
Oh, God, you are on fire with these. Love it. So this one gets a little bit awkward because I never know what I feel like people don't really like to answer this one yet. But if there was one song that you would kind of put in a box and just like push to the side and never hear it again, would there be one?
The Vanguard bus is coming.
Oh no! We're 90s babies. You can't do that.
Who wants to hear that?
Me. After a few drinks. Maybe not so.
I feel like electronic music is not really where I'm at whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it's ironic because my brother runs a whole Capital radio show full of electronic music, and everyone's like, why don't you write music like that? And I just don't connect with that type of music at all. But 90s electronic music where they've only got like a keyboard's worth of instruments is probably one of my worst.
But to be fair, I was really worried about this one because especially asking obviously you with the parents that you have to be like, please don't say one of their songs. I don't want to be getting into trouble.
I would say that would be more like, what music videos would you want to hide?
Oh, that is true.
Yeah.
Well, if you pardon the pun there. But yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Because I think it's like one thing, as any like child, if you watch your parents dance embarrassingly at a wedding, it's mortifying. If you watch them dance embarrassingly on a music video that's then played for the next 30 years, that stuff sticks with you, you know?
I feel like that's enough to go to therapy. I'd never thought of it like that before, but you're so right. I mean, I don't have like that kind of parent, but wow. Very honest. Very honest. Oh my God. You have been an absolute joy to waffle with. Like I genuinely feel all like hyped up. Now.
Me too. I'm excited too. What should we do now?
I know. Go for a beer.
Yeah.
Let's go for a beer. But honestly, no, thank you for joining me for a waffle. Like, best of luck with coming up. It's no doubt going to be another banger. And it just sounds already like, even just hearing you talk about it, it just seems like it's going to be one of those like uplifting, empowering anthems that I feel like we all bloody need at the moment. So
yeah, I hope so. I'd like to see lots of like TikToks of people dancing in their knickers in the kitchen kind of song. Just like people really using their shirt and like.
I'm going to take that as a challenge.
You can start.
I'll start it for you.
Hashtag waffle knickers.
Oh no, don't do that.